Popeye's new Buffalo Ranch chicken sandwich has arrived to sauce things up. The internet's favorite sandwich now comes with a savory sauce made of zesty buffalo and creamy ranch. This delicious sauce is spread on our brioche buns, topped with crunchy pickles and juicy chicken breast, giving the sandwich you love a bold new kick of flavor. So what are you waiting for? Try Popeye's new Buffalo Ranch chicken sandwich today and see what all the excitement's about. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Live from multiple locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing. Co-host, Ed Kaluka. Featuring dangerous Dan Margetta. And Brian Schmidt. LTN is a caller-driven program, and your participation is encouraged by calling 414-421-7901. That's 414-421-7901. Now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Actually, this week it's going to be without Todd, as he's on his way back from, I think it's Pennsylvania. He was out visiting relatives in Maryland, and he's on his way back. And where he is in the mountains, the internet reception isn't the greatest, and he wouldn't be able to sustain it to show. So we're all here to carry the show this week. I'm Dan Margetta, along with Brian Schmidt and Ed Kluka, who are along. Before we get going, I do want to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom and all the mothers out there. This is your day. Usually you don't race on this day, and for some reason this year we have a race at Darlington. It's one of my favorite events because I like that track. But a little odd to be racing on Mother's Day, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, and they seem to be racing on all the holidays. Just the other week they were racing on Easter, now they're racing on Mother's Day. So I guess might as well watch a race with Mom.
There we go. Yeah, make Mom a race fan. And Ed, how are you doing this morning?
Pretty good. This is the racetrack I always remember because of Schmolzer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he said this black lady is too tough to tame.
Well, they used to call it the Lady in Black was the name of the track, and the Too Tough to Tame, because it is. It's got a strange shape about it. The old story was there was a fish pond, wasn't there, that the guy wouldn't sell the land on, and they had to go around that, so they made that one turn pretty tight. It's kind of flip-flop since it when it first came. Turns 1 and 2 today used to be turns 3 and 4 back then.
Correct. The front stretch was right along that road.
Right.
In what it was about probably 15, 20 years ago now, they've done it to increase the grandstand on the front straightaway. They moved it to the back stretch so you can have the large high-rise grandstand there. So that's where people are now.
Yeah, when you used to be able to see when you used to come off the old turn 4, which is now 1 and 2. There used to be a McDonald's sign you could see in the background. First time I went to Darlington, we were trying to find the track, and we were at that McDonald's, and they didn't have any idea where it was, and it was just right down the street from them. And every time we'd see that sign, I think, man, look how close we were. Those people didn't know where the track was. But I've been to Darlington a couple times, and it's actually a neat area to be in because it's pretty old school. I mean, it's kind of the area likes their racing. I mean, it's kind of what kind of made it, and it's pretty neat to be around there. I actually got a ride around Darlington on the ride-along deal. Paid $100 to take 3 laps. Now that was pretty cool. You go around that racetrack, and it is kind of a strange, almost like a double apex kind of corner. It was pretty neat. One of the guys giving us rides was Nelson Piquet Jr., which is like, I thought that was odd. There's the F1 guy giving me a ride around.
A former Road America winner.
Right, and giving me a ride around one of the NASCAR tracks. But it's pretty neat. If you get a chance to go check it out, it is kind of cool. And the throwback weekend this week, they put it here instead of in September. I think they want to make this race kind of special. The September one is the Southern 500, which is now.
And now it kicks off their playoffs.
The playoffs, right. So they kind of did that. A lot of the cars put the different schemes on. Do you have any favorite one?
I'm just looking at the TV screen now. This Jeff Gordon one that they have, William Byron is running, is awesome looking. I mean, it's so many of them. It's hard to pick just one. A lot of them, went way out trying to do this in all 3 divisions too, because you had some good ones in the Truck Series, good ones in the Sam Mayer's that he ran yesterday in the Xfinity Series, the old Rick Mass #1 car. That was pretty cool looking. So they did real well with a lot of them. The best ones I like are the ones where you're able to actually use the sponsor that came with it, and there's only a handful of those where they were able to pull that off.
Right, and that's I like the fact that they do this throwback deal. I know it's some teams maybe they kind of stretch it on a throwback that deal. I like the ones that actually replicate old Cup cars or old NASCAR cars that you can kind of figure out what it is. A lot of times They used to get it where they matched the number. Now it's getting hard to do that. So now they got like the 7 car this week is the old Marty Robbins one. He was number 42, but it's gonna be number 7. But it's kind of neat to just see some of that.
Chris Buescher is using Matt Kenseth's car from 2004.
That's right.
But he couldn't put the DeWalt on it. But still, the paint scheme looks pretty cool.
Right, so that's kind of neat that way. And if you watched practice for this race, Darlington is still tough. This is the first time the new cars are at Darlington. They had a test earlier in the year. I guess Kyle Larson did one of the tests, and he wiped out a couple times during the test, so it is kind of tricky. And we've had that issue already in practice and qualifying. There's a couple guys that had problems, and a lot of some good guys are going to go to the back. I don't know. Ed, did you get a chance to see any of the practice and qualifying?
No.
Okay. Well, one of the main ones is Kevin Harvick right off the bat had a problem.
Yep.
And he'll be having to start in the back. Denny Hamlin had an issue. A lot of guys are having issues with that rear diffuser.
Yeah, and then you had Chase Elliott, who just flat out wiped out. I mean, he crashed pretty hard in qualifying, and that takes him out of the things. So you're gonna have Harvick, Hamlin, and Elliott all starting at the back today.
So it's a pretty good guys coming back through the field that way. And Elliott's car is going to the backup. They have the Hendrick backup car. They pulled it out. They're going to wrap the car like he had a Jimmy Means Napa paint scheme or throwback scheme on it, and they're going to wrap it like that, except that not the whole car, because they can't do the front and the back. Just the side will be that way, so it'll look a little different. But the one Hendrick backup car is going to be in use by Chase Elliott today, and who's coming off a win, by the way, last week at Dover on Monday. They ran that race. Part of it got it going on Sunday, had to stop, redid it again on Monday. How many of you kind of snuck a phone into work and kind of kept up and
we had to use radio
to figure it out how to do it? But if you got a chance to see it, Chase Elliott got his win. He's going to qualify right now for the playoffs.
That puts all 4 Hendrick cars in the playoffs.
Right. I mean, that's the one. That's probably the strongest team there to do that. But we'll see how he does coming from the back today at Darlington. Does this track still eat up the tires, Ed, like it did in the past? This track used to always eat up tires pretty bad.
Yeah, it does. It's the drop off is about two seconds, very quickly. First 30, 40 laps, 1 second, then it kind of flattens out for about another 30 laps. And so if you have an ill handling car and you aggravate the left front, right rear, your day is long.
But we kind of like that, don't we? When tracks are abrasive like that, and they make tire management an issue, because it brings a lot of strategy into it.
Well, it's so hard.
I mean, it's a driver's track now. You got to manage your tires, and if you burn them off, you're going to go to the back. If you're able to handle your car, get good handling on it, and be able to drive it, smooth, you're gonna be able to last a lot longer.
Well, you're wrong about that. It's not. It's a driver's track because the car is junk. The car is unadjustable. There's just not enough adjustments on this car to make it good. So they're all evil, all the same IROC cars.
Yeah, so what happens when your car don't handle then? What's the difference maker? Are we all just going to slide around all day?
Right. I mean, there's nothing you can do, really. I mean, if the car's not... If you don't have the... I have not heard anything about shock combinations yet. I heard a few utterings about bars, but on the telecast today, you never hear anything engineering-wise about these cars. They never, ever talk about the adjustments that can be made on these cars. They'd rather talk about somebody's family or...
Well, yeah. And that's a product of not having somebody who's actually in the know, in the booth, or on the broadcast side or the media side. I think there's very few media people that actually will get in there and actually know the inner workings of these cars and what you can and can't do. I did notice in practice, and a lot of the guys had rear tire problems. Are they running super low air pressure down there to try to make up for something? Can they still do that?
Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was wondering, can they still do that?
Well, yeah, that's the last adjustment you have is air pressure. It's still, the rule of thumb is still there. 1 pound air pressure is worth almost 150 pounds of spring rate. And so now they have gauges that go into tenths of pound because, you want to change 50 pounds of spring rate to half a pound of air or less. And so it's critical. That's the only adjustment I ever see anymore, because there's no bars, there's no Panhard bar, there's nothing you can adjust for roll center. You're locked into whatever you got. So, but they are going to start shifting here today. That's going to be interesting. That's always been a problem for Hamlin, is that he can't seem to get the shifting down, but it's like a mini road course.
Yeah, and you're kind of busy at Darlington. I mean, to be doing shifting as well. I mean, Darlington's not a track that's smooth to drive. I mean, it's got that crazy shape and everything else. You actually have to hustle a car around there, and you got to shift it as well. The other part of the throwback weekend is the guys in the booth. And we're going to have some throwbacks in the booth. I see they're going to have their old attire on. But we have a guest this week, our throwback guest.
Richard Petty?
I know. He's going to be in the booth. We'll see how that goes. Is he going to start the race, huh?
I believe so, yeah. Him, Bobby Labonte, and who's the one?
It'll be here before you know it. America's National Park of Speed, Road America, has a thrilling, jam-packed race season coming May through September. Vintage racing, IndyCar, NASCAR, and more. Don't wait. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines. Just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company in the heart of Wisconsin is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com.
Warmer weather brings exciting racing to the Fair Park in Plymouth. This Saturday, pit gates open at 2, grandstand 3:30, and opening ceremonies at 5. Late models, wing sprint cars, Grand Nationals, and B-Mods. Saturday, May 21st, the All-Star Circuit of Champions sprint cars return, along with the IRA and the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA sprint cars. Great racing, great food, and a covered grandstand. We'll see you there.
Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
The Arkham and Art Series.
Good restart for Drew Dollar as he works down to the inside of the race leader.
Ready for Kansas Speedway.
Downstairs, Greg Van Alt, Corey Heim going around the outside.
Battling in America's heartland.
All this young man does is win, and he's about to do it again in the winds of Kansas off turn 4.
It's the Dutch Boy 150.
This Saturday, coverage at 1 on Milwaukee's home for NASCAR, the Big 920.
And we remind you to stay tuned for that Darlington race right here on the Big 920. We'll have the race on as well. And before we have to break, we had the throwback announcements. We had Richard Petty for the first stage, Bobby Labonte for the second one, and we forgot it was Bill Elliott was the guy we forgot. He'll have the final stage to bring in and carry the race through on the booth. And that's interesting to see how that'll work.
It will. Bobby Labonte, we know what he's going to be because Bobby Labonte does TV all the time. But the other two are going to be a little interesting, especially Richard Petty. I haven't heard him talk in how long. He doesn't do any interviews. We don't see him on TV much. You see him walking around the track, but you seldom hear him talk and see how he's doing. He's no spring chicken either anymore.
Oh, no, and he's got talk about guys with stories at Darlington. I mean, he's run there a lot. Although he hadn't had a lot of success there. He only won once, I think, in like '67, and that was it. So I mean, that was the one win. He had all the races he had. He only had one, I think, at Darlington. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. We should also let you know that Brian and I are actually on the road as well. We're coming to you from Winona, Minnesota, which we're in a hotel room because we were out at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway last night for the World Outlaw Late Models. They had their inaugural Dairyland Showdown. I went and saw that. We'll give you the results, I guess, later in the program. But pretty good weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is a hidden gem in the state of Wisconsin. I had never been to Mississippi Thunder Raceway. Bob Tim, who's from Winona, Minnesota here, he bought the track in 2008 and completely redid the whole place, brought it up to standards for a major event. And this was their first major event that they had here. They had the World of Outlaws last year for a smaller 2-day show, but this year they brought it all with a 3-day show. They had the USMTS Modifieds here. Last night the Outlaws ran for $50,000 to win, and the USMTS Modifieds ran for $10,000 to win. I mean, they had a ton of cars, a ton of people here, and boy, the people came out too in beautiful weather. Early in the week, it didn't look like it was going to be that great, but it was, and it just turned out to be one of the only major events of the week in the entire country for dirt racing. So good crowd, good race. We'll tell you who won later on.
Yeah, a pretty good show. Need to come out here and see a lot of people we hadn't seen in a while. Made a lot of new friends. Pretty cool to take a trip over here along the Mississippi, and nice area and everything. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we had to battle the graduation crowd around here. Winona State University is a pretty big college right here in this town, and La Crosse is down the road, and both of them had their graduations this week. So you had quite the mix of people. You had a lot of dirt race people here, and then a lot of college graduates from nursing school and attorney school and all that kind of stuff. So you want to talk about quite the mix when you're in a hotel lobby. We had that this weekend.
This weekend. One lady gave us a look in the restaurant like, oh, those dirt track people are here. Yeah, we're coming to eat. Sorry. But, it was a good way to get out and do that. And other things I do want to – we mentioned that who I'll start in the back. We forgot who's on the pole today. Joey Logano won the pole for the race today at Darlington. And outside the front row is Kyle Larson, who I think did the test here. So I think Larson is a guy that can figure this out if everything can handle. And we do want to mention today that Kyle Busch is on standby. I mean, Trevor Bayne is on standby for Kyle Busch should he have to leave. I guess they're going to have another kid, hey?
They're a baby watch, but it's not going to come from his wife. They're doing the surrogate type deal there. And, yeah, the baby may be coming soon. So between this week and next week, it may happen. I don't really see Kyle Busch coming out of his car. Do you? I don't
know. Well, you never know. And Trevor Bayne's on standby in case. Ed, you got anything?
Yeah, I got a breakdown for the qualifying that I was concerned about. I mentioned it last week, the week before, on who gets mixed in with the wrong A and B class. The cars that came out of the A class were the 8, the 20, the 24, the 1.
At Pick and Save, we believe it takes the right team to bring you the freshest produce. That's why we partner with farmers who grow only the best. And that level of teamwork means better, fresher options time and time again. Working with farmers is what it takes to be fresh for everyone. Pick and Save, fresh for everyone.
It's the big $10 sale, so mix and match and get 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 10 for $10 with your card. So many great deals. Pick and Save, fresh for everyone.
And the 8. So it was 18, 20, 24, and 1 and 8 out of the A class. All good cars, all fast cars, which meant there was some guys that were in that A class that didn't get the transfer that would have normally got the transfer. And then in the B class, the B group, you had the 5, the 19, the 22, the 12, the 45 came out of that group, which gave you the final 10 of Logano on a pole. So it was 5, 22, 5, 20, 19, 18, 45, 12, 1, 8, 20, and 10. So it's kind of interesting how if you get stuck in the wrong group where there's all fast cars like there was in the A group this week, you're going to guys that normally might sneak in, okay, not sneak in, but be fast enough to make it. But when you get all those fast cars in the A group, and then if you look over at the B group and you're sitting there in the A group, you're saying, God, I wish I would have qualified over there.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. We had that happen here at the dirt track where they had 73 modifieds here, and they're going to qualify 73 cars single file. So you qualified group by what heat you drew in, and if you drew in a stacked heat, holy cow, you could be like really fast in the heat, but you're going to be 7th or 8th because you're in a stacked heat. It's the same kind of deal.
One of the guys we know that runs a modified here, Keith Foss, is from Winona here, but we raced dirt late models with him years ago. Got to know him real well. I was talking with him, and he said for that second night, when you go up there to draw for your heat race, you're kind of on pins and needles. Like, who's going to be in your heat race? And in the modified deal, there was a heat race that rolled out on the track the other night that had like 5 national touring stars.
There you go.
in that heat, and that's the group that you were with, but if you were to look at his time overall qualifying, there's another heat race that didn't have anybody in there. They use the passing points formula so you can still kind of make something out of it if you're in the back, but if you got to start in the back,
but not really.
Not really. No, you're in for a long night is what you got. So
and in NASCAR they don't have the passing point things.
No,
and I guess they're going to change some of that practice stuff coming around Nashville. They're going to give them 15-minute sessions, which is like the first NBC race at Nashville coming up. So they're going to do some tweaks to the practice.
There and at Worldwide Technology Raceway because they've never been there.
Okay.
They're going to have 50-minute practice sessions there too. Be interesting to see as we talked about last week. The A and the B group is set up by where you finish the week prior. So, everybody that finished in the odd spots, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, those are in the A group, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 are in the B group, so on. And that's simply how they do it. And I believe it's simply just for TV ratings that when the A group is out practicing, they can talk to the B group drivers and flip-flop. Well, we were watching some of the practice in the hotel on Saturday, and you could tell that's what they're doing. So,
but it's not a level professional playing field. It's made up for TV garbage.
And it'll be interesting if NBC is kind of seeing that because now for their first race, as we just said, they're going to go to the 50-minute type deal. So maybe NBC's like, yeah, maybe this isn't working so good, or they're hearing some of the backlash that Fox is getting for it, and they're going to change it. That would be great if they do because that would show that, hey, people aren't really liking it. It's not changing your rating, so we're going to change it up, and I'd be all for that.
And you think about it, is qualifying, you start up front great, but does it really matter at the end of the race?
It's more for pit stop positions, I
don't think qualifying it's important, obviously, but not as important as it used to be. It used to be, if you didn't qualify in the top 10, you weren't going to have a good day at all. Now it seems like you can start in the back and make your way through.
Justin Allgaier showed it yesterday.
Right, yeah, started last and then winning the Xfinity race. Speaking of that, it was a pretty decent race, and good to see Allgaier. He hadn't won since Darlington last year, so he broke a long winless streak. And that was pretty neat to see that way. And we'll talk about more of the races that went on this weekend and some other things that are going on. There's some news items we want to hit as well. We'll be back right after this.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
The NASCAR Cup Series.
Eyes on Dale Inman. Here he is. Green flag goes in the air.
Season continues with a throwback weekend in Darlington.
He spins it in the middle of turns 3 and 4. He'll loop it all by himself.
For another trip around the track, Too Tough to Tame.
Dominating performance for Martin Truex Jr. off 4, final time. Checkered flag is out.
It's the Goodyear 400.
Coverage starts Sunday at 1:30 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
And back with you once again on the LTN Hour on a pretty mellow Sunday morning, I guess, for that music coming in here. Happy Mother's Day again to all the mothers out there, and my mom especially, and hope you have an enjoyable day, and take some time out and spend it with your mom. It's what this day is for, and you should do that. And we were talking about the race yesterday, the Xfinity race that Justin Allgaier won, truck races. Rain ran on Friday night. John Hunter Nemechek was the winner of the truck race. So I got to give a shout out to Ty Majeski, a pretty good finish there, 4th place, coming from 10th to 4th in the last couple laps. He had battled things all night long, and he were able to pull out a top 5.
Yeah, had a flat tire. Got a lucky dog, was able to rebound from that and have a good run. And trying to think if he'd run at Darlington maybe once last year. I don't even know if he ran at Darlington. So because I don't believe he did with his Xfinity series back when he drove for Roush that time. So for him, that's a good run.
They were fast right out of the box. I mean, they were very happy with their car in practice and had a good shot at a pole. Ended up second. And, they had a very good truck. And it had a little problems along the way, but it's nice to see those two guys working together and seeing success. I can't wait to get them on a flat track somewhere where they can really show their talents and kick everybody's ass.
I think it'd be coming up. Derek Kraus had an 18th place finish, I think, in that race.
Yeah, he didn't have such a good night there.
No, but
he struggled a little there.
So they salvaged a pretty decent finish out of what could have been a lot worse, though, put it that way. So, yeah. And then that was the results from Darlington this week. A big racing news around here in Wisconsin. They announced on Wednesday the 2023 NASCAR Hall of Fame class, and they took 3 people. Went from 2 from the modern era. I'm thinking 1 from the what do they call it, the legendary or something, legends and that. And we'll start with we'll save the best for last for around here. Let's put it that way. Kirk Chamberlain got in on the modern era, which is pretty cool. I mean, the crew chief for really a lot of Dale Earnhardt Senior's titles. I mean, Kirk really had the Junkyard Dogs working there. He tried to. He went behind the wheel for a while, then kind of went away from that. But to see him get the recognition for that, I think that's pretty cool. Don't you think, Ed?
Yeah, Kirk Chamberlain has been a buddy of mine for years. I mean, back when the Junkyard Dogs were running, Scotty was one of the dogs, and I helped Kurt out when he got it going in the ARCA, and he sat on a pole at Daytona for an ARCA race, and I got a box in the mail, and it's just his winning trophy for the ARCA pole. That's pretty cool. It's a large, big trophy. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. And it's neat to see him get that recognition because I think some people kind of maybe forgot about the contributions he made. It's been so long since he's been out of the sport that way. But a big part of that success of those Junkyard Dogs and that Wrangler number 3 team was Kirk Chamberlain. And he got
and one of the cool things about that group is that Kirk Chamberlain installed a work ethic into every one of those guys that was on that team. And it was so much fun to watch these guys work. I mean, anybody else, they'd say, they'll hear on the radio that they're going to make a gear change. And you'll see them guys shrug their shoulders, oh, now we can make another gear change. But on these guys, if they hear the word gear, I mean, before the car even got back to the garage, it had the pans out, had the gear out, had everything out. When they were back in the day, they would change engines to evaluate camshafts at Daytona. And I mean, they would make maybe 10 engine changes, 5 engine changes in a day. And they'd be happy about every single one of them. Oh, boy, we get to change engines again. So, yeah, it was quite a crew.
And it showed up on the racetrack. It's the Pioneer Division, they call that one. And Herschel McGriff got in out of that. A great legend on the West, on the Winston West. I always heard of Herschel McGriff.
Who's still around. He turned 94 in December. His NASCAR career spanned 7 decades. His first race was the 1950 Southern 500, and his last race was in 2018 in a K&N Pro Series race at Tucson at the age of 90. So it's cool because a lot of these pioneers aren't around.
Right.
Let's hope that when we get to the actual ceremony next year, Herschel will be around, God willing, and it'd be cool to have one of those ageless wonders around for that.
I think and then the final inductee for this year is going to race at Slinger Speedway, by the way, on July 12th, Tuesday night, in the Slinger Nationals, trying to extend his record as the most wins in that event, and that's our own Matt Kenseth. That's pretty cool. I mean, you knew he was on the ballot, and when the announcement came out, it still kind of hit me, and I stopped and think, this is cool. I mean, this is what he's one of us. I mean, he's one of the guys we've known. There's 2 drivers that I've pretty much seen come from the start all the way to the top. One was Alan Kalicki. I was younger. I saw him race at Hills Corners when I was a kid, and he made it through there. And Matt Kenseth is a little different because he's close to my age, and I mean I saw him progress and kind of brought us all along with him as far as to the top and to win the championships, wins the Daytona 500s. Now he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, his record speaks for itself. Championships, wins. He did it all. 39 career victories. His last one coming at Phoenix a few years back. It's cool to see. Like I said, it's a guy that we've all seen from start to finish. Still racing. We saw he raced last week. In Madison with the Super Late. We'll see him race later this year and. cool to see it. It's going to be interesting to see when the ceremony comes along. Who's going to be the person that does his induction? That's going to be the cool part.
I wonder. I think Mark Martin would be really cool doing that.
That would be.
I mean, if I had a choice, that's who I would pick. What I really thought about was back in like '99, I played softball with the regular job when we all played softball. I worked third shift and we played softball on Thursday mornings. And after the game, we go to the spot that sponsored us. We hang out there. And I remember Michigan qualifying was on, and they had 2 rounds back then. You had to qualify in the top 21, I think 20 or 21, to make the first round guaranteed to be in the race. Otherwise, second round qualifying, you didn't have to. And they went out there, and it might have been their first cup race. It was one of the first ones they had. But qualifying was on TV because not much else going on a Thursday morning or, and a weekday kind of thing. And I was watching qualifying with the guys, and they qualified 18th or something like that. They made the first round. And I was like, yeah, and I got really excited. And the guys I worked with were like, what are you getting excited for? You qualified like 18th. That's not first. I'm like, you don't understand. He made the show. And I remember trying to tell him, like, this is like, he's one of us. I mean, he raced at Slinger. He raced at Madison. He raced at Kaukauna. At Dells. He's like one of us. It'd be like one of us softball players playing in the World Series kind of thing. They're in the big time, and they're all in. It was just kind of cool. I kind of thought back to that now when he got to the Hall of Fame and where it all ended, and how it all began. It's just a neat deal.
Yeah. Much.
Hey, we're halfway home on this flight, so we're going to take this break and be back. We may have a special guest when we come out of this.
The NASCAR Cup Series returns to Elkhart Lakes Road America this 4th of July weekend. The NASCAR Quick Trip 250, presented by Jockey Made in America, and the NASCAR Xfinity Series Henry 180 guarantees high-speed thrill and endless family fun. Enjoy the family fun zone, camping on site, and free admission for kids 16 and under with a paying adult. Don't wait. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Road America, your national park of speed.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
This week on NASCAR Live, we caught up with Mark Martin.
I had not planned on going, but as the unveiling of the paint jobs came around and one right after another, I thought, man, I've got to go and show my respect for these guys. That it's pretty incredible.
Next week on NASCAR Live, we're heading to the plains of Kansas.
This Tuesday night at 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
One of the neat things about some of the tracks this year, they do a lot of different events, not just what they're normally known for. They kind of go outside the box and have different things, and Slinger Speedway did that last night and this last weekend. Mother's Day is usually an off weekend from the normal oval track racing. Well, they had an off-road event with the Soda Series, and it's something that's brand new. I was supposed to go... it was supposed to be a week before, but it got rained out, so I couldn't, live stream it in video. It's our own Matt Hangover Losey took over, and thank you, Matt, for putting that all along. And one of the participants in that event has a name that you may recognize at that racetrack. But she had a pretty eventful event last night. I saw some video highlights, but we're joined by Season Elizabeth Bennett, who is the daughter of Lowell Bennett, a multi-time champion out there at Slinger Speedway. And Season got to run in the Soda off-road races last night, and looked like it was a pretty good time, wasn't it?
If you have bills and debt piling up, a personal loan through NetCredit can provide funding up to $10,000 to help you get back on track if eligible. Visit netcredit.com today. All NetCredit loans and lines of credit are offered by a member of the NetCredit family of companies or one of our lending partners. Visit netcredit.com/partners for more information.
We're hiring at Culver's. That means if you're up for welcoming families with coworkers who feel like family while growing your career in a place you can be proud of, you're our kind of people. So join the Culver's team at culvers.jobs.
Yeah, it definitely was. Other than my carb for my race quad not running right and the idle screw backing out, the threads were stripped in that for the idle screws, so then I was having issues with my carb bogging and didn't have the power that I quite, usually have. And so anyways, I just thought I'm not going to run it anymore, for the rest of the weekend. Didn't want to chance anything for the top end or anything like that with it running so lean and that. So
Nice.
Then I had a good day, or a good night Friday night, but Saturday, well, last night or whatever, we ran into a little bit of a issue, and we weren't quite able to finish the race.
I saw the video highlight. You took quite a tumble, end over end. That'd be pretty exciting.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm guessing I've seen way worse for crashes for UTVs. Luckily, it was in my favor that this was just one of those, light. It rolled just right and didn't really wreck the machine as much, thankfully, since it's, just the first race of the season for a local. And, but other than that, yeah, I mean, everything ran right up until that over-under jump. And they were talking about it all day, about how you got to just hit it in, first gear, just barely, because it's so high up, and it'll actually, you'll endo and, nosedive. And that's exactly what I did. And I had another guy behind me, and he was putting pressure on me, and I guess, I let that pressure get the best of me, and I made a mistake and gave it a little bit too much power. And my front end dug in, and my front bumper hit the, hit the bank or whatever, the landing, and just enough to tuck it over and make me roll over and do a full 360. So,
wow.
What was impressed to me is the fact that you were very anxious to drive away and get back in the race.
That is actually really funny. That I learned from my motocross days for ATV motocross. I used to race the ATV motocross nationals, and so then, when you crash or you have a hiccup or whatever, you get back on your quad and you just keep riding. And I did the same thing when I raced snowcross, but I retired from that due to too much injuries and just, racing could get really expensive, unfortunately. And so I kind of stepped away from the snowcross. And, but one thing, that I learned from the motocross is you always get, you make sure your machine is okay. You're not even worried about yourself after your crash. You're like, okay, I just got to get back on the machine. It's just that mindset. And that's the exact mindset I had yesterday. And I was asking my spotter, I'm like, is my car okay? Is my car okay? Everything look okay? Is anything bent, And by the time the safety crew got there, they asked me if I was okay. And I'm like, okay, watch out. I'm going back out there.
Well, I got to tell you one thing. I'm very impressed to hear you talk. You're very knowledgeable about your equipment, and it's the first time I've had an interview with someone that was that. I mean, you're really cool, man. You're really into this racing thing.
Right, and you've been there a while. I mean, your dad, Lowell Bennett, had many championships there and won the Slinger Nationals a lot of times at that track. So you've had experience being there. How did you get into this kind of racing as opposed to the oval racing? It's like jumping stuff?
Well, I've always, we first started out when I was about 8 years old for drag racing. My brother first started because he was older. Then when I got old enough and turned 8, then my dad said if I got good grades in school, then I could get a junior dragster and race it. Well, then that was our thing. Every Saturday nights were for going drag racing at WIR in Kakana. And that was just our family thing, spend time with my dad that way. Then on Sundays, he'd go racing at Slinger. So we'd unload the big trailer and all that and help load his race car up and see him go off to his race or whatever. But once I turned, 18 or whatever, then you can't really, that's the deadline for the age restrictions from 8 to 18 is the junior dragster class. When I turned 18, I was like, okay, I can't really race it anymore. By then I really got into the quad racing, and I was doing hare scrambles, in the woods, endurance racing. And I was doing that with my quad, and I fell in love with that. But then I suffer an autonomic nervous system problem. And so it's hard because my blood all pulls down to the bottom of my body. And it triggers my brain making my brain feel like it's lost a bunch of blood. So then my heart works 3 times as hard to try to pump the blood throughout my body. So when I'm sitting and standing like that on a quad, that gets my heart rate, and my heart rate will get over 180 beats per minute. I've actually wore heart rate monitors for when I would do practice for motocross and all that on my quad when I was doing ATV motocross nationals. And actually, I got, what was it? The max heart rate I had was 216, I think.
Wow.
One day. So, I mean, my hands go numb and all that. So I stepped away from the 2-hour-long endurance races and got into the motocross. And that's, motocross was my thing, I guess. That's when I realized I'm like, yep, I definitely want to do this. And
well,
so anyway.
I sure am impressed with you. I'll tell you that. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you. So anyways, I got into that, and my dad was never really a big fan of the motocross racing. So then it was a last-minute decision 2 years ago. He's like, at the end of summer, where he's like, okay, if we get rid of your snowcross sled or your quad or both of your quads and you keep your snowcross sled, one or the other, then they would pay the difference for me to get a UTV because they just wanted to see me in a roll cage. And that's understandable, from a parent's point of view. And
Absolutely.
with ATV motocross.
Right? This is your first race of the year. So what's your schedule look like? Where else do you guys race?
I would be racing. I'm thinking about doing a few soda races. I don't know quite yet. But I do the full Championship Off-Road Series for off-road racing, the short course racing. I run the Sportsman side-by-side. So it is like stock, mainly stock. It has to have a stock intake, stock exhaust, and a stock engine. But like you can have like aftermarket, like some certain stuff just for like safety-wise and all that. I know I have like aftermarket rear sway bar and aftermarket tie rods and shocks and everything like that. So, I mean, you can always you can adjust it in your favor for that, but you still got to keep it within the right, I guess, like horsepower for the same class.
Certain rules to do that. And now you're car number 22, and I thought that's interesting. You got the number because you're Lowell's daughter. Lowell was 2, so you'll be 22. So guys, people can watch, look for you this summer, and when they go to these races. And it's thanks for being on with us. It's pretty. I've learned a lot about off-road racing. And it's pretty cool to get to talk to you.
For sure, come out to Crandon or one of the Champ off-road races. I hope to see you guys there.
All right. Well. Everybody listening want to do that? We'll check that out. That sounds like a lot of fun. Thanks for Season Bennett, who raced at Slinger last night in the Soda off-road races. Thanks for joining us. We're going to head out to another break, and we're going to be back with some other results from around the area.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358. It'll be here before you know it. America's National Park of Speed, Road America, has a thrilling, jam-packed race season coming May through September. Vintage racing, IndyCar, NASCAR, and more. Don't wait. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com.
Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years, PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series.
They race 3 wide to turn 1.
Rolls into Kansas Speedway.
Here comes Zane Smith back to the bottom of the racetrack. Puts the wheel inside. Puts the nose up to the lead once again.
For some fun under the lights.
He will rally back and he will win. We're talking about Kyle Busch across the line. He will take the checkered flag.
It's the Heart of America 200.
Saturday night coverage starts at 6:30 on Milwaukee's home for NASCAR, the Big 920.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Yes, Mother Nature finally blessed us with a full weekend of racing on the dirt side here in the state of Wisconsin, as everybody was able to finally get to the track. We'll start Thursday right here in Fountain City, Wisconsin, where we were at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway for the Dairyland Showdown, night number 1 for the World of Outlaw Case Late Model Series. They had $10,000 on the line, and Bobby Pierce picked up the win there of the 38 late models that were here. The USMTS Modifieds were the undercard. They ran for $3,000 to win. 73 Modifieds were here Thursday night. And Lucas Schott, one of the local guys, beat all the traveling stars to pick up the win there. Friday night, Gravity Park in Chilton. The modified winner was Tyler Wilson. The stock cars, Dave Boucher, and the Grand Nationals was Dustin Weiss. Darlington opened up at the Lafayette County Speedway. The limited late model feature winner there was Jason Robbins. And in the IMCA Modifieds, Brandon Schmidt picked up the win. Menominee, Wisconsin, the Red Cedar Speedway. In the Wissota late models, Mark Hessler was your winner. And the modified, Dan Bargender was the winner. They also had a makeup feature from the week before there, and Shane Halapka won that. Right here in Fountain City, night number 2 for the Dairyland Showdown in the World of Outlaw Case late models, $10,000 to win again. Jonathan Davenport was your winner. 40 late models showed up. Several of the guys from the Lucas Oil Series who were supposed to be run Friday and Saturday in Kentucky, those events rained out. So a couple of them guys made the trip up here. About 4 or 5 of them showed up, adding to the field of cars. In the USMTS Modifieds, $5,000 to win on Friday night. Jake Tim, the local guy whose dad owns the track, picked up the win amongst the 73 cars there. Last night in Plymouth, the season opener, there in the late models, Jim Schmidt was your winner. In the MSA 360 Sprint Cars, Travis Ahrens was your winner. In the Grand Nationals was Luke Skolton. Beaver Dam had their regular season opener. In the mods, Dan Radel was your winner. In the Grand Nationals was Justin Pearson. Shawano in the late models, Troy Springborn picked up his second win of the year already. In the modifieds, it was Jaden Smith, and the stock cars was Trent Nolan. Francis Crick, the 141 Speedway opened up. They had a whopping 197 cars there for their season opener. Incredible. In the IMCA Modifieds, Benji Lacrosse was your winner. The stock cars was Eric Malik, and the Grand Nationals was Rick Gustafson from the UP. Drove down from the UP with his Grand National race at 141. Wilmot had their regular season opener last night. In the IRA Wingless Sprints, Jimmy Sivia was your winner. The modifieds was Nick Simons. New Richmond, Wisconsin, Cedar Lake Speedway. In the Wissota Modifieds, it was Adam Hensel. Rice Lake in the Wissota Modifieds went to Jack Ravoid. Sycamore, Illinois, the IRA 410 Sprint Cars were there for the first time ever. And Scotty Thiel is 2 for 2 with the IRA this year. He laid a whooping on him, leading every lap, picking up the win there. The Badger Midgets were the undercard. Jake Newman won that. Out in Knoxville, Iowa, they had a lot of the World of Outlaw guys there because the World of Outlaws were supposed to run at Eldora, and that event all rained out there. So many of them showed up, including Carson Macedo, who showed up and took the win in the 410 sprints. In the 360s, it was Clint Garner. And finally here last night, the big finale for the Dairyland Showdown for the World of Outlaw Case late models, $50,000 to win on the line, and Mike Marlar picked up the win. Heartbreak City for Tyler Bruning. Tyler Bruning drives one of those Skyline Motorsports cars. He's a teammate with Shane Clanton, was leading the race. The track locked down a little bit right at the end of the 75-lapper. 7 laps to go. He's leading the race. We're
Tyler's never won.
Never. Not a big one.
Not a big one.
No, and he comes up on the lap car of local guy Lance Matthews and was a little bit impatient, got into the back of him and spun out, gift wrapping Mike Marlar's $50,000 win. And even Mike felt bad for it. And Victory Lane said, man, I feel bad for Tyler. He was going to win this race. And he goes, but we'll take it, and he'll cash the check. So Marlar got the win. Tyler Erb finished second. Josh Richards, who's had a really rough year, he ended up third. In the USMTS Modifieds, they got the green a little bit after midnight last night for their 10,000 win event, and Dustin Sorensen, a local guy there, put on a show starting 8th and worked his way through the field and got by. If anybody watches this thing on Facebook, the Win 1B main car for Hot Carl Racing, that car was leading the race late and got passed right at the end. That would have been one hell of a party. He had Shane Sobrowski, who's one of the hot shoes from Wissota, driving that car. Came real close to picking up the win there. I think they'd probably still be partying if they would have won that race, but nevertheless, Dustin Sorensen picked up the $10,000 to win there. So, thoughts on Mississippi Thunder? Beautiful track, Dan. I mean, this was incredible. We'd never been up here before, and it's a hidden gem.
It is. The track race is really nice. I like the way that you guys could rip the top here if they want. and also worked the bottom. I mean, it really racy racetrack all the nights, and it was fun to be a part of, and pretty cool to discover a new place. And it's a race event I've never been to, and a track I've never been to, and I'd definitely come back.
Yep, and hats off to Bob Tim and his entire staff. The amount of money they put up this weekend. I mean, it's really risky to go out on a limb the first full weekend in May, on Mother's Day weekend, graduation weekend, all that, and put up that kind of money, $50,000 to win plus 10 each night. I mean, and then do it for 2 series is pretty incredible. So hats off to him. The Outlaws will evaluate the whole weekend and see how it all goes, and maybe it'll be back again. They didn't make any announcements while we were here. It's a very fluid situation as to how their schedule goes because this is a new event. But I would highly recommend it to get out here if you can.
And maybe we'll see the Outlaws on our side of the state sometime this year. Who knows?
Yeah, there was a teaser about that. I had talked to one of the Outlaw officials about how they don't have any races on the eastern side of Wisconsin, and he just gave me a real sly grin and said, Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I said, aren't you going to share anything with me? He goes, No, just stay tuned. We're not done on your side of the state, he said. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens there. But on the asphalt side, from the results we got there, starting last Friday at Madison International Speedway, the Joe Shear Classic 200 for the
Sunday.
That was like Sunday. Boy, it was a pretty good crowd coming out in a cold day. It was cold. The wind was blowing pretty good out there, and at the end of the day, Casey Johnson got probably his biggest win, picking up the Joe Shear Classic win. You remember last year he was looking like he was going to win that thing, and he had problems late, so he finally...
It's a nice $15,000 check for him, too.
It actually is, and good for those guys, and Travis Dasso and the crew. Good to see them. Kevin Kniese won in the Midwest Truck Series, and Dennis Prunty is 2 for 2 in the 602 Outlaws now. He won at the Dells, and he won again at Madison, which is cool for him because he had a pretty bad wreck there in the Super Late back in 2016, so it's good to kind of conquer that track and get a win there for him. Last night at the Dells, they opened up their regular season now, and Mike Litchfield was the winner in the Pro Late Models. Mitch Leiden was the winner in the Sportsman, and Dan Howard in the Modifieds. Jefferson opened up. Jason Erickson won the 94 car. Good way to start the season. I'm sure our listener Derek Rame is happy.
Tire Jesus has to be happy today.
Yes, absolutely. That's his team. They got the year off right with a win there. Jake Guiley got the late model win over at Rockford. At Marshfield, they ran Super Lates, and John Beal was the winner there. And the Midwest Truck Series had another race there, and James Swan was the winner of that. And finally on the National Tour at Nashville, the Southern Super Series were there, the Super Late Models. William Byron showed up, won the race. He's going to fly out into Darlington and run the Cup race today. So that's pretty cool.
He's having quite a year in his short track.
I give a shout out to Nick Egan in that race. He managed to stay in the lead lap. He had a little shunt there in the middle of the race, but he stayed on the lead lap till the last 2 laps and finished at about 22nd. But
yep, he was 20. That was in the Pro Late race. That was the Super Late race. Byron won the Pro Late. Dylan Fetcher was the winner, and Nick was in that and finished 22nd. They made the trip down there. The whole Egan Motorsports crew. He's traveling around this year, making a lot of different places, and kind of learning a lot of stuff. It's kind of cool to see them on the road like that. With that, we got a call. We come back, and we'll give you our picks for Darlington after.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
It'll be here before you know it. America's National Park of Speed, Road America, has a thrilling, jam-packed race season coming May through September. Vintage racing, IndyCar, NASCAR, and more. Don't wait. Get your tickets today at RoadAmerica.com.
Warmer weather brings exciting racing to the Fair Park in Plymouth. This Saturday, pit gates open at 2, grandstand 3:30, and opening ceremonies at 5. Late models, wing sprint cars, Grand Nationals, and B-Mods. Saturday, May 21st, the All-Star Circuit of Champions sprint cars return, along with the IRA and the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA sprint cars. Great racing, great food, and a covered grandstand. We'll see you there.
The NASCAR Cup Series.
Eyes on Dale Inman. Here he is. Green flag goes in the air.
Season continues with a throwback weekend in Darlington.
He spins it in the middle of turns 3 and 4. He'll loop it all by himself.
For another trip around the track, too tough to tame.
Dominating performance for Martin Truex Jr. off 4, final time. Checkered flag is out.
It's the Goodyear 400.
Coverage starts Sunday at 1:30 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
As we're heading to the home stretch here in this edition of the LTN Hour, Dan Margetta in for Todd Veiling, who's on his way back home from Pennsylvania right now. Brian Schmidt's here and Ed Kalicki as well. We're all here to bring you the racing results and the news from around the area. And we have a caller. Let's talk to Joe from South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, my hometown. Joe, let's talk NASCAR.
All right, guys. Thanks for the show again today. How much difference is there between the engines from the Fords and the Chevys and the Toyotas in the Cup Series? Are they truly different?
Are they different yet, or they use the same block?
They're all three of them are different. All three of them have their own blocks, their own engines. Just as the Ford seem to have a lower torque curve than the other two, and how they have the camshaft tailored to the particular engine, but the horsepower on these engines are all within 10 horsepower. It's just how drivability the engine is.
Okay, so they still.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
What's drivability?
Drivability is in the camshaft. It's when the power curve comes in and where it puts the power down and how quick it gets there. And the Ford seems to have a slight advantage in that area of being drivable.
Okay. And then, quick, how can Josh Belicky keep racing when he's always in the bottom third? How can he afford that?
Well, he manages to go out and get sponsors, and he works hard at it, and he's trying to make it.
Right, and on the Cup side, the equipment there, it's about what he can bring to the table. I mean, he's not going to get a Gibbs ride because it's going to cost 10, 12 times what he'll bring in. So on the Xfinity side, like yesterday, that Alpha Prime car isn't bad. They were top 20 speeds all day. He kind of got caught up in something in the race. He finished, 30th or something like that, but and a lap down. But trust me, I saw him at Daytona. It was the first race we saw him actually go out and take the reins off and go race without having to worry anything, and he finished 9th. So I mean, I think the kid does have it.
Yeah, and he said he had to work his butt off to get the money to run that Daytona race, which was incredible to do. So yeah, it has to do with how much money you're able to raise. You know, I mean, it's not NASCAR's a little different than what it was years ago. We've talked about that over and over again. The whole racing as a whole is that way. It's not necessarily the experience you have or where you came from. It's the money you're able to bring to the table and the names you can put on the side of the car to get you behind the seat.
Yeah. And I get where you're coming from. Yeah, go ahead.
So he's got to be a good salesman also, besides a driver.
Marketer.
Just to get in the door. And that takes a lot nowadays. I know what you're saying, D. In the past, when he used to have the starting park cars, if you did that every week, you kind of got labeled a starting park and didn't get any chances anywhere else. I'm not sure if it's the same. I think that's a little different now, where people kind of realize what it takes just to get in the door. And I think you got to do what you got to do to get there and then go from there. We'll see how he does in the road courses. I mean, at COTA, he went from 30th to 15th in 2 laps and got wiped out by Brandon Jones. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you see going on that way that doesn't show in the record books. We'll see what happens when it comes to Road America.
Yes, and Sonoma.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. So, Ed, as we come down to it now, we got to think about who we looking at today at Darlington. I'll let Ed go first.
I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick in the 8 car. I think it's got kind of an 8 feeling to it, so...
Yeah, and he was right there. It worries me that Bristol thing might have set him back a little bit. I hope that didn't hurt him as far as not the confidence level so much, but it seems like since that Bristol thing, they've been kind of so-so when they were on there. This would be a good place to turn around.
Yes, definitely.
What do you think, Brian?
This looks like a Kyle Larson day to me. I mean, we're talking, he hasn't won since February. Yeah. You know, I mean, he looks fast. The car looks awesome. That's an old throwback to the old, original Hendrick car there, and this looks just to be one of those days where maybe he's going to just go out there and he may lay a whooping on him today if all goes well, and be awesome to see. So I'm going with him.
All right, Kyle Larson. That was going to be my pick, but I don't want to pick the same one as you. I'll go way out there. A guy that's got 12 straight top 10 finishes here. He's on I think he's tied with Elliott for the longest consecutive top 10s here. He hasn't won yet. He hasn't done much. He's starting way in the back. How about Kevin Harvick?
Oh, wow.
No, not today.
Not today. I just pulled it out because Brian took my pick. I was going to.
Yeah, I actually had a pick right last week.
That's right.
That's what we don't have that happen real often.
Before we sneak out, I got a shameless plug.
Okay, go ahead.
Russ Becker Auto Body. You need any work done on your car, give him a call, 262-3255-3336 in Lennon. You take care of you. Russ's Auto Body. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good to keep in mind if you ever need something like that. Another quick thing before we get out of here, another news deal. Remember Denny Hamlin had the wheel come off at Dover, and that's 4-week suspension. They got NASCAR to waive that suspension until the appeal, so they can come run here at Darlington. And I'm thinking, boy, nobody else got that. And I wonder, is this a case where nobody else even asked for it and just took the suspension? And these guys are kind of standing up and they're going to appeal it, claiming the gun malfunction and make us use that gun, so it's not our fault. It's interesting to see how that turns out. I mean, if nobody else thought of that, how come? Because that's a pretty smart way to do it. Or that and being Joe Gibbs' team, we'll see what happens if it all turns out. If they upheld it or not, we'll see coming up. We're on our way out of here. Thanks for joining us. We're time to land this airplane without Todd, and it's usually kind of a bumpy landing when we do that, but we'll do the best we can to make it back to the terminal. And we'll see you next week. Todd will be back. I'll probably be up at Slinger Speedway for their afternoon show. They get going at 2 o'clock with the full late models headlighting the card up there, so it'll be kind of fun to do that. And until next week, remember, as Todd Bailing always says on his coin, real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. This program is everybody jumped in today to help us out. Brian Schmidt, Ed Fluke, and myself. And, of course, our engineer back at the studio making it all work, Matt Hangover Losi, you filled in for me nicely at the camera last night at the Slinger Speedway. We'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.
Now through May 10th, join a clean and spacious Planet Fitness for $1 down and only $10 a month. With tons of equipment and free fitness training, it's the perfect place for everybody to work out.
Even me, Mr. I can't sleep at night, so I keep dozing off during the day.
Especially you, Snoozy. You'll rest easier and feel fit-tacular.
Wait, how did you get in here?
Join in club or at planetfitness.com. $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends May 10th. See club for details.